Jay St. Clair is here, ready and available for you with any and all legal questions. So if you have a legal question, if you're looking for free legal advice, which is worth every penny that you pay for it, now's your time. 615-737-WWTN. That's 615-737-9986. Get those questions in, and we'll get to Jay presently. Sam has been holding in Nashville. He wanted to make a comment about Joe Biden. I want to get to Sam real quick before we introduce Jay to you. Hey, Sam, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind?
Well, first thing, I hope they clear Briley Parkway because I use that all the time. But the reason I called was if Biden doesn't get what he wants, his supporters will burn down again San Francisco, L.A., and Portland like they did before. And compared to that, I think Trump is a simple clown, a jester, and a court fool. I think they ought to let him go.
Wait, I missed the last part of that. So
a court fool?
Yeah. What? Give me the pivot again.
I think that Biden's supporters are arsonists, murderers, and like that.
Biden supporters are arsonists and murderers
and thieves.
Okay.
Yeah. Rico.
Did I miss something, Sam?
I think it's a simple threat that Biden supporters say that if he doesn't win, then they'll do all of that. I think that's.
Oh yeah, look, liberals don't know how to lose, and when liberals lose, there was cheating. I mean, we saw that in 2016. If that's your point, of course, when the GOP brings up legitimate instances of concern with regard to voting irregularity in 2020, we're called insurrectionists.
Well, speaking up for small business owners who want to have their businesses exist after the election, regardless.
Well, we're a nation of law and order. I mean, whomever the candidates are, Sam.
We would hope so.
And sadly, we have one political party that sees two different sets of rules with regard to the politics of all of this. So if I was to decide that out of a sense of anger and disenfranchisement, that I would gather a group of people together to go and protest on the downtown public square, wherever it might be.
The dry cleaners.
Yeah, whatever. We would get arrested and we would get thrown in jail and we'd get prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But if
the DAs look the other way.
But if Black Lives Matter does it or Antifa does it, well, then that's a natural.
The prosecutors look the other way.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And these are, and I believe I was loath, and thank you, Sam, for the call. I was loath to buy into some of the conspiracy theories with regard to, or what I considered at the time conspiracy theories. This is 5 or 6 or 7 years ago when we began hearing that George Soros was using his money to fund district attorney campaigns across the United States of America to get into place in cities like Chicago and L.A. and places that are already predisposed to vote for liberal Democrats, to get into place district attorneys that would be light on prosecutions, that would allow people out, that would be willing to consider things like cashless bail, for example, which they have in New York now. And what that would do ultimately to these major metropolitan areas and what it by extension would do to the United States of America, I was loath to believe any of that. I believe it now because we're seeing it come to fruition. We're seeing it in Memphis, Tennessee. We're seeing it in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't believe that Glenn Funk is necessarily a Soros man, but he certainly is cut from the same cloth. But thank you for the call, Sam. We appreciate you. 10 minutes after the hour, we invite you to think about legal matters. We invite you to think what legal question you would ask some of the finest legal minds in the United States of America, nay, the world, because we have one of them on the show with us right now as I speak. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure at 10 minutes after 1 o'clock to proclaim it, FRI-JAY.
Good morning, Americans. It's FRI-JAY.
Look at. You don't come to this radio show for what I know. You come to this radio show for who I know. And I know this guy. He is one of the finest, nay, the finest legal mind that I have in my orbit. He is also my good friend, my golfing friend, my gambling buddy, and my life consultant. He is Jay St. Clair, and he joins us on the program today. Hey, Jay, what's going on, friend? How are you?
Man, if I were any better, I would be Mrs. Beast.
Woo. She's loving the snow, buddy. Let me tell you that. Did you guys, down Birmingham way, did you guys get any of the white stuff, or what did you get? Ice? What happened down there?
Call it snow. I call it ice. We got a little bit of snow, but it's ice. You know how it's like down here. And I'm just reminded of how different the climate is between Nashville and Birmingham. You know, it's only 3 hours away, but man, Nashville gets some snow.
Yeah, I mean, I knew this when I moved to Nashville, and I proclaimed when I said goodbye to my friends in Birmingham on the radio that I looked forward to having a 4-season climate.
Right.
Because Birmingham really doesn't. I mean, there's not really any winter there.
No, but we got 2 seasons, man. Summer and fixing to be summer.
I always said when I was down there, I always said that there was 3 seasons, right? There's and I could add a 4th with the fixing to be, but there's 3 seasons. There's summer, football, and Christmas. And that's it. And that's it. Well, I hope everybody's well down there. We've still got snow on the ground. We got 8 inches up here.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yep. No, I remember well, you know, when I was clerking at the or interning at the General Assembly, this was in 1979. Yeah, we had about 8 or 10 inch snow. And it stays cold, right? It stays on the ground for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's nice, though. I mean, if you can stay out of it, if you don't have to drive in it, which I've been driving in it all week. I got the big old truck, so no worries for me. Before we get to questions this week, Jay, I guess it is a question because it's my question that I have for you. And we invite folks to call in or write in with any of your legal questions, 615-737-9986, and we'll cover every single one of them. So, this case out in Georgia, and you know, it's convoluted, and they are, am I reading this wrong that they're basically charging Trump and a bunch of other people for getting together and saying, hey, we don't think we lost this thing in Georgia. We think they cheated us out of this thing. So I want my team to do everything in our power to make sure that this was on the up and up and there was no cheating going on, because I think that they stole this thing, and I think we've got the votes here. I mean, that's basically what they're charging all of these folks with, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. Or maybe I'd put it a little bit differently. They're saying they're trying to steal the election back. I mean, I think they have to be saying they were trying to alter the outcome of the election.
Right. They claim that the knowledge was present amongst those that were, quote, conspiring, that they really lost.
Right.
Like for Trump supporters, they would say, well, Donald Trump's just questioning whether or not he actually lost, and he truly believed he won, and there's nothing wrong with that. What the prosecutors are claiming is that they really knew, and they were doing this on the sly to try to steal it.
Yeah, that's right. Get him declared the winner when he really didn't win, and he knew he didn't win.
Mm-hmm. Right, which is
I think that's what they're claiming, although it's a jumbled mess. I mean, it's hard to figure out exactly what they are claiming, man, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, to add to this nonsense is a new development in this case, which I haven't really talked a lot about because I'm just watching how all of this shakes out. But it's gotten to the point where I think they're going to have a hearing on it now. Yeah. And it involves the prosecutor, Fannie Willis. And she apparently, and let's start here, she apparently has the ability in her office to hire special prosecutors for a case like this, correct?
Sounds like it, yeah. No one's doubting her authority to hire her paramour.
Did you just...
Oh, I meant to say...
Did you just say paramour? I don't know why.
I meant to say barristers.
Oh, yeah, right. So she has been accused of hiring someone that she has a relationship with. She's having an affair.
A romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And explain to me why that might be a conflict of interest, because she's paying... Apparently, the accusation is she paid this one individual $650,000 of the state's money, and the suggestion's now being made that she hired this guy most specifically because of their romantic relationship, and that she has benefited because he's taken her on a bunch of lavish trips or whatever that one would conclude that in part he's paying for by the money that the state's paying him because she hired him to be her special prosecutor.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet deal. Why don't I ever get deals like that in my career? I don't. I'm not doing it right, man. Well, she's got a problem, right? There's no doubt about that. But let me be clear. This is what I think is the most important point about this. It says nothing about the strength or weakness of the case against Trump and the other defendants. I mean, the case is, even if she is found guilty of all these things, that doesn't make the case go away. She's got a personal problem, and at most what might happen is she may be taken off the case, or frankly, she may lose her job. But that doesn't make the underlying case go away. I mean, let me give you an example. Let's just change the facts a little bit. Let's say you're being prosecuted let's just say Trump's being prosecuted. And the prosecutor robs a bank. I mean, he robs a bank.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's no question about it. They got video and everything. Well, that doesn't mean the charges against Trump are dismissed. What it may mean is the prosecutor gets fired, and then a new prosecutor comes in and takes over the case. Because you see, the misconduct doesn't have anything to do with the merits of the case. Now, if it were, let me give you some different facts. Let's suppose that what she had been doing is destroying evidence.
Okay.
Now, could that lead to the case being dismissed? Absolutely. Right? Because that goes to the merits of the case. Or let's say that she was withholding evidence from Trump and the other defendants. That's misconduct that goes directly to the merits of the case. That could result in the case being dismissed. But the fact that she robbed a bank or stole money from the government doesn't say anything about the merits of the case against Trump. It may say something about her. She might want to be updating her resume right now. And, making sure she's got monster.com bookmarked on her website.
That's monster.com.
I think, isn't that one of those job search things?
It was. I think I would have gone LinkedIn as my reference, but Monster is perfectly serviceable. I think you went monster.com because of Danica Patrick. Wasn't she associated with Monster?
I bet that's right.
I bet that's why it came to your mind, because by the way, I'm writing this down. That reminds me to ask you something about Danica Patrick. Have you seen Danica lately?
Yeah.
I mean, she's gone all in on politics, buddy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It is making me rethink my opinion about Danica Patrick, and I don't have a very positive opinion of Danica Patrick.
Well, and y'all not to. The interaction you had with her at the Barber Motorsports Park is absolutely inexcusable, and I respect you for holding that grudge for decades. That's the kind of grudge you hold for decades.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, she could get me back into the fold with one little interview with little old Matt Murphy in Nashville, Tennessee. You see how shallow I am.
Has Donald Trump yet fulfilled his promise of following you on Twitter?
Boy, oh boy. You have to bring this up, don't you? I'm in a good mood. It's Dolly Parton's birthday, Jay.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you have to bring this up. All right, hold on. Jay, I'm going to put Jay on hold. We're going to get to your calls and questions. They're coming in. Yes, I'm being told by any number of people that Danica Patrick was not Monster.com. She was GoDaddy. My apologies. GoDaddy, GoDaddy, GoDaddy. Was GoDaddy a search engine for jobs?
It's a web hosting service, website hosting service.
Oh, okay, so if I wanted to create a website, I could go there and they could, fix me up. Okay, all right. So Danica was GoDaddy. I've got it. If you have a question for Jay St. Clair, come on. 615-737-9986. If we don't have legal questions for Jay on FRI-JAY, Jay and I are going to sit around and talk about our favorite Dolly Parton stories for the next half hour. It's 120 on Super. Well, maybe you'd like that. Well, it's 120 on Super Talk 99.7 WTF.
Claiming that she stole it from somebody else.
I vaguely remember that.
And so she went to court and testified, and she explained to the jury how she wrote that song. and how it came to her. And she was just typing, taking her fingers, and she's got these 6-inch nails on them, And she said, "This is how I got the beat. This is how it came." And she sat there and explained to the jury the whole way that she wrote that song. Jury was out 15 minutes.
That's called a win.
It was great.
I just want to see video evidence of Dolly sitting in court, tapping her fingers on the little, sitting there in the witness stand, tapping her fingers.
Exactly. No, it's great. I mean, it's great.
All right. Belle, you tell me, who should I go to? Well, I tell you what, 129, Super Talk, I want to put a cap on the Fannie Willis story, and then we're going to get to calls and questions. So, Jay, I mean, you're so astute about these things. It doesn't make the case go away, but here's what I note. That as you have said these many, many weeks that we've been discussing these cases against Donald Trump, if Donald Trump's not running for president, none of these cases are happening.
Right.
What I do believe could happen in Georgia because of Fannie Willis and because they have to sidebar all of this to deal with this Fannie Willis stuff now. Right. I mean, is there any way that any of this comes to some sort of judgment before Election Day?
Well, it certainly could delay it, and it makes it certainly more likely that it will not happen prior to the general election in November. And what I want, you and I are both big fans of chaos. So I want it to not happen until then. I want Trump to win the election. Then I want him to try him as president in Georgia and convict him and then see what happens.
What happens?
I don't think they're going to put him in jail in Georgia.
No. I mean, so, yeah, the president of the United States of America, because of an ongoing suit against him, gets tried and convicted in the state of Georgia, and then what's next?
Exactly.
That's a great question. Well, I know what's next for us. We've got to take a short time out. A lot of you have questions for Jay St. Clair, and we'll get to each and every one of them. Happy birthday, Dolly, 78 years young. Although I try not to say that. I hate that phrase, 78 years young. She's 78 years old, and she's earned every year of it.
Just calm down and have a cuppa.
Oh, dear. Stop it. Stop it. What do you do? What are you doing? See, Jay knows what you're doing to me. He's laughing in the background. All right, our man Jay St. Clair has promised we'll get to your telephone calls and your questions via the super text line. James is in Westmoreland. And, James, you are joining Matt Murphy and Jay St. Clair. What's on your mind, James?
Hey, what's happening, guys? Hey, so quick question. Well, it's not a quick one. I was in an accident. Took my car to an auto body place. The insurance company that I had gave me a month of free rental car. It ended up taking the auto body place like 7 months to fix the car, and the insurance only was supposed to cover 1 month of the rental car. During that 7-month time, my debit card was hacked, and I had to get a new debit card. So my insurance usually auto debits, and when it went to auto debit, of course, the card didn't work. So my insurance lapsed, and I didn't know it. And I was in an accident in that rental car.
Wow.
Who is, am I liable even though, I mean, I didn't have insurance, but the insurance company was the, I guess, renter of the vehicle? I'm trying to figure out exactly what I need to do here.
Jay, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? So, James, did the insurance company provide you any information regarding the fact that your bill wasn't getting paid? In other words, did you get email correspondence or anything?
No. No, I did not.
They didn't even give you notice.
They did not tell me I was canceled. I did not get any notification of anything.
I bet they're denying that.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
What do you think, Jay?
I think this, James. I wouldn't give up talking to the insurance company because I'm not familiar with this fine point of Tennessee law, but I suspect they're required to give you notice of cancellation. Unless they can prove that they did that, I think you've got a good claim against that insurance company.
That they would have to pay for the damages of the wrecked rental car if they did not give me notification of cancellation?
I think that's your best argument. Was that second accident your fault?
Yes, it was. Well, I mean, deer in the road. I swerved, went into the ditch. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, got it. So it's not like, I would get back in touch with your insurance company and say, look, you never gave me notice of this cancellation. It was on auto draft. I got hacked. Just explain the circumstances to them.
Right. Okay.
But, they're probably just going to keep saying no because that's what insurance companies do, James. So, once you try it, and I don't want to be pessimistic, but it doesn't work, then you just got to get a lawyer. Lawyer letters are more effective.
Yeah, I was about, Jay, you have taught me well over the years, Jay, because I was about to say, does this man need a lawyer letter?
Yep.
Right.
You know what we mean, James? I mean, you get a letter with lawyer's letterhead over it saying, hey, buddy, my client has retained my services and yada, yada, yada. It goes a long way.
Right.
Okay. James, who's the insurance company?
Progressive.
Do you have an agent?
Yes.
You absolutely need to be talking to your agent. That's the person you need to talk to. Go by his office and sit down and talk to him face to face. Do you have any kind of personal relationship with the agent?
No, sir. No.
How long have you been with him?
A little over a year.
I would go by his office, make an appointment, go by his office, sit down, look him eye to eye, and tell him what happened.
Right. Okay.
And if he doesn't seem interested in the conversation by saying, look, I don't want to have to get a lawyer involved with this, but if Progressive is not going to make this right, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
And please, James, I am intrigued enough. Please call us back and let us know what happened.
I will. I absolutely will. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. There's James. That's what it's all about right there. Yeah, I mean, lawyer letters, I know that we are loath to pick up a phone and call lawyers, Jay, because we think it's going to cost us a lot of money. And, and it might cost you a little money to pick up a phone and call a lawyer. But there's a reason why. It just works. I mean,
it makes a difference. It absolutely makes a difference.
Let's see, from James to, I believe this is Delania. Am I pronouncing that correctly, ma'am? Delania?
Hi, it's Delana.
Delana. Hello, Delana. You're on with Jay and Matt. How are you?
Are you married to
I'm
Kevin
doing well.
Harvick? Ma'am, are you married to Kevin Harvick?
I'm not.
Well.
But I have heard her name. I'm older than her. I had it first.
Well, Delana, what's on your mind?
I wanted to just make a comment and then ask a question about the Trump Fannie Willis situation. It seems to me that, of course, she hired this ADA to take this case to prosecute Trump because she was in a relationship with him. And it seems that she wanted him to be her puppet that she could control and prosecute Trump the way she would have. So with that being said, if there's going to be a hearing, like an ethics hearing against Miss Willis, my question is, do you think they would go further and also maybe hold an ethics hearing against the ADA who accepted that astronomical amount of money and wined and dined and took Miss Willis on trips? Because it seems to me they're both culpable of an ethics violation, not just her, but also him. I don't know his name, but it seems that they were both, quote unquote, in bed together on this little,
yes, ma'am. I will be shocked.
Whatever you want to call it, to get Trump.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if the investigation does not include both of them. They absolutely
both. I was hopeful for that because, if you're going to pay someone that much money and it's someone that you're having a relationship with, it's obvious why you chose that ADA to handle the case.
Yeah, but Delaney, remember this, too. I have to remind Matt of this a lot. Lawyers are people, too, man. We got to eat.
We got to eat. Oh, boy, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, when he starts poor mouth, and I just, I don't know what to do with him. Thank you for the call. God bless you out there in Chapel Hill. We like to pick on you, Jay. You're my favorite lawyer, but that's not really a high bar. But you are my favorite lawyer.
That's like saying you're my favorite criminal.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, yeah, but, yeah, pretty much the same thing. By the way, speaking of the law, just in as we're talking here, I looked up on monitor number 3, and I'm a little bit surprised in this. Alec Baldwin, you know the actor, Jay, Alec Baldwin, and you probably remember this situation where...
Yeah, the shooting.
The shooting? Well,
the film set.
He's been indicted. They've now indicted Alec Baldwin. I don't know what the specifics of the charges against him are, but he's now been indicted in the Rust shooting. And you know what? I don't like. I mean, maybe this is a different time for a different subject for a different time, but I have enough acting experience and I understand the process enough. And look, this is not me saying I love Alec Baldwin or love his politics. I don't, but I just have a hard time understanding how you get a conviction because the actor does not bear responsibility for the loading and unloading of that gun. They just don't.
Right.
But anyway, I just note that because it was up on our monitor just moments ago.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
well,
it is.
It's been a long time, so they've been investigating it a lot. It'll be interesting to see the specifics, Matt, and what they specifically are charging him with.
Now, I can understand why you would charge others on the set, the prop master on the set, the individuals responsible for the guns specifically, and I forget armor. Is it armorer? Yeah, it's the armorer on the set. I understand how you would charge them, but more often than if you expect that the actors and actresses bear ultimate responsibility for whether or not these are things that could hurt other people, I think you're in a world of hurt from the entertainment perspective, but that's just me. All right, let's see. Ethan is in Nashville. Ethan, you're on with Jay St. Clair. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, man. So just real quick, I was just thinking about, how you guys are talking about an invasion happening on the U.S. that's basically happening intentionally by the administration that's in power. And then we also talk about how, basically a lot of our high-level politicians are bought out by our adversaries. And I think about the Second Amendment and how we have the right to bear arms to protect ourselves against a tyrannical government, whether it's individual acts of tyranny or tyranny on a grand scale. And I just wonder, how far do we have to go before we define this as tyrannical? And, and what can we do about it without being called insurrectionists?
Well, the solution, the constitutional solution, Ethan, is the ballot box. If we don't like what our elected politicians are doing, we got to vote them out. I mean, that's the short, simple answer to that. I think you're maybe asking a bigger question. I think you're asking if our government has become the equivalent of the British government under George III, is it time for us to declare our independence? I think that's kind of what you're hinting at. And I don't know if there's anything between the two, Ethan. I mean, if we don't like what our elected officials are doing, we've got two solutions. One is to vote them out. The other is revolution. I'm just saying it as plainly as I can.
It's hard because they've divided us and they've conquered us to the point where we have we're not confident enough as a group of people to stand together, band together, and stand up against it. We have a bunch of individuals that stand up, at one time, but they don't have enough people banding together.
Well, most people that
Ethan, but don't forget what happened in 2016. Donald J. Trump was elected president of the United States
because of a lot of these same issues, and I think the people recognizing what happened in 2020, I think we were immune to the idea of what happened in 2020 happening, Ethan. And from a political perspective, I think people are far more awake than they were even in 2020. Here's what I would say, Ethan. The easiest example, and it's an unfortunate one because you get into issues of racism and slavery and that sort of thing, but the easiest way to look at this is to look at it through the lens of the build-up to the Civil War. And most people, I won't say most people, I won't include the three of us, but here's what I would say. That even at the beginning of our country, we were debating slavery. we were debating these issues involving involuntary servitude. And at the beginning of our country, there was a schism between the North and the South. And that schism only became greater as the North became more industrialized and the South remained agrarian. It took 45 years for the South to build up the courage and frustration to say no more. And I say that recognizing that part of the reason that they wanted to do it was an evil institution called slavery. But so I'm not saying that they were courageous in a positive way. I'm just saying that that's how long it took. So these are not processes that happen overnight. And the dynamic that we would have to get to in order to come to that decision that Jay talked about, that the ballot box, we're not getting those results. And Jay, I would add to your analysis, and I think it's dead on, that we are in a frightening time because there is a fear that no matter what we do or how many of us vote, that the game is rigged. Mm-hmm. And I'm fearful of a lack of trust in the system creating a further schism in this country. It's a danger. I think it's a distinct danger. Let's see. I'm going to get to one more. Well, Yankee's in Beech Grove. Let's talk to Yankee. He has a thought on insurance policies. Hey, Yankee, how are you?
I'm doing fine, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. You got a question for Jay or a thought?
Yeah, well, the gentleman with Progressive, he's dealing with Progressive, and I own a towing company, and I deal with Progressive on a regular basis. They will do anything that they possibly can to wiggle out from paying anything. And what one of the things is, and I got burned on this, they had a $3,700 record bill. And the guy called me and he said, well, we just ain't paying it. Well, I wasn't smart enough to read the law, but I got educated real quick after that little fiasco. And they are responsible to pay any record bills or any tow bills plus storage. And it's a Tennessee Codes annotated bill. And what they'll try to do now is they're telling the customer, well, yeah, we're going to settle up with you on your car. But the customer never says, well, you owe a record bill. And they'll wiggle out from underneath it. And that customer is actually responsible for the record bill because they've settled their case with Progressive or whichever insurance company. And they're all the same way. I pay $750 a month in truck insurance. So I've never gotten a break from the insurance companies. I've never had an accident, never had a claim. But it's gone up every year, nonstop. And that's just the way it is. They're going to try to do everything they can to pad their books and get their books.
This is not, and Yankee, thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. I will say this. Regardless of which insurance company you're dealing with, I've said for a long time, and this is not even knocking the insurance companies when I say it, it's a reality. Insurance companies are not in the business of paying out claims. They're in the business of collecting premiums. Right? Every insurance company is going to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed before they pay out a claim. They just are, and some are worse than others. And because they're big and you're small, they're powerful and you're not. And like Jay mentioned a little while ago, Jay, I mean, you're right. Sometimes it takes them understanding that you're serious and you're willing to go there, and there is a court of law in order to get what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
But
sometimes it just takes a harangue, man.
A harangue, that's a great word. You got to harangue them? Got to harangue them. Jay, I hope you have a wonderful... How was, real quick, 30 seconds, how was last weekend on the track? You do well? Did you get to go?
No, cold, and I've still got these spark plug wire problems. It's driving me nuts, man, but I think I got it fixed out. I think I am going to go racing, full-on wheel-to-wheel racing, at a track you may have heard of on April 6th.
Really?
Daytona International Speedway.
If you ain't first, you're last.
What? All right.
Yep.
This merits an off-air conversation. Expect a call from me at 3:05 this afternoon, all right?
Perfect.